Hello, Leo. Oh my God, so far this Mercury retrograde has been a doozy for me, disrupting my schedule with emergency family trips, tech and internet issues. I really hope it's been treating you a little bit better. Anyway, as I promised in August's videos, I got the nerve to record my own voice and I ditched AI so it can be a little bit more personable. Anyway, welcome back if you are a returning visitor, and welcome to all new viewers. Let's get straight into this. Okay, so in this video, I will give you your main theme for September. Then I will summarize some of September's major planetary dynamics and how that may affect you. I'll do a quick revisit of a couple of astrological events in the past, since we have retrograde planets and some repeating aspects, and finally, a couple of things to look forward to. First, September has a theme of hurry up and wait. Very similar to August's lazy summer, laid back approach. Mainly because, as I mentioned, we have six planets in retrograde, and we'll also toss in the seventh minor planet or body of Chiron, but I will touch on this list a little bit later on. Leo, your focus, activities, phone calls, emails, and texts are regarding your finances, property, and property, whether you own it, sold it, or it's a rental, or you're purchasing a new one. Also, charitable philanthropy, donations, trust, wills, beneficiaries, and such this month. Some of it is stuck, and the cause is maybe the paperwork involved. Maybe you forgot to check a box or hand in verification. Or it could be the people processing your paperwork are just as stuck because of this Mercury retrograde. Just kidding. Maybe it's regulations and red tape that's holding it up from their end. So it's been two steps forward and one annoying step back for you to fix errors and or to crunch the numbers further. Extend that to any debt you have outstanding and the negotiations to resolve these debts. So that's what your main focus will be on in the next 3 weeks. Your value system also is involved, who you find valuable and who you think has been naughty. Material objects can also be involved. Are you downgrading to a smaller space because the kids have moved on and you would rather have a houseboat, but your partner wants nothing to do with the ocean? Or maybe you are finally free and single and you can finally live off the grid. Or are you upgrading because of a new partnership or a move? Are you arguing about traditional or minimalist furniture? By the way, tell your partners to talk to me. I'll explain that Leos don't do minimal. Anyway, is the purchase price of the property maybe not equal to your own valuation system? You may also be applying this value system to the people on your list. Okay, so your own valuation system is also on display to others to scrutinize as well. Are you magnanimous in your patronage? Or do you prefer humanitarian and altruistic um, goals? Most Leos will be considered rock stars this month because of your value system. Otherwise, you have a beautiful Virgo new moon coming up to make a wish regarding your income, revenue, and your value system. Some Leos will be getting news of a new job, perhaps, position, promotion. Property value will increase or recognition of your status on this new moon. Um, these things will most of these things will actually be smooth for you. Really won't be hard issues on them, and you can. easily like make new income, passive income, or what have you without even, you know, putting that much effort in it. Um, because then in the next month, um, Venus will enter Virgo, and that's your second house of job and values and income. But we'll discuss that later. Anyway, any glitches, disagreements, or misunderstandings have been caused by two planets specifically that have been retrograde. One is Mercury in Virgo and your second house of job, money, and values, and the other is Venus in your own sign of Leo. Venus makes everything pleasing, beautiful, and attracts goodwill and money. Venus first entered your sign in July, and an upgrade or change to your appearance, personality, self interest, personal style, and your CV was in the works. Since her retrograde, you may have rethought some changes you wanted to make, maybe to your appearance, or others could have rejected you, or you could have driven people away yourself, pushed people back during the retrograde. Excuse me. Venus can be persnickety, demanding, and fussy when retrograde. So it is a good thing that Venus just stationed direct, and it and issues should be smoothed over and resolved. Just be patient a little bit longer as Venus is moving very slow this month and still considered to be retrograde shadow. Early October, Venus will clear the way much better. Other areas of concern may be the natal house's Venus rules, which are Libra and Taurus. Those are your third house of communication and commuting, and your 10th house of career and status, respectively. And also, depending on your natal chart. Um, you could have had cell phone issues, or you switched carriers, maybe. Maybe your neighborhood neighbors were annoying, or you could have had problems with your car. Again, the major part is over as Venus has station direct, but the sugar on top comes a little later, as I explained earlier, when Venus picks up speed, and especially when she enters Libra and, or I'm sorry, Virgo, and your second house of job and income. Cha-ching! Good things to come. Okay, same goes for Mercury in Virgo. It's retrograde right now, so the information is stuck or going backward and forward. And Mercury will station direct mid month, but it will be in shadow until the end of the month. So, all the plans, A and B, you have put in place because of the retrograde, have plan C just in case. Because even agreements and sign offs between the 15th and the 29th may still change because of Mercury's retrograde shadow, and it will clear its shadow at the end of the month. I don't know if I mentioned that. We have an opposition between Saturn and Neptune, and both are in your eighth house of sex, death, and taxes. I will explain this when I summarize the retrograde planets, but I wanted to mention it because the eighth house is also a money house, mainly benefiting you. Um, from others. And one point is inheritance, which I explained earlier may be part of your focus. So, how can the same house oppose one another? It can, and there is a reason for it, but I will explain that when we review the retrograde planets. Okay, on to Pluto. And we are mentioning Pluto because there is an aspect to Pluto. I will also explain that during our lineup. But for now, I'll give you a quick note on why the aspect this month is important. Pluto is in retrograde in Capricorn, and that's your sixth house of health, habits, and routines. Pluto is also about control and power, and the power plays that come along with power. And since it is in Capricorn, maybe the government, old money, prestige, and authority are involved. So think back to December of last year through to March, April of this year. There were conversations, negotiations, maybe arguments, even disagreements, or they could have been agreements because of control and power, but it all had to do with your health, habits, routine, or service to others. Um, People moved up, away, or disappeared, and the reshufflement elevated your position in this area. So you could have been, and Pluto has been in retrograde, and rather, I'm sorry, Pluto has been in Capricorn back since 2008, 2009. Um, so you could have been taking care of someone, or maybe your partner. Um, Maybe you're both elderly and your partner needed more taking care of, or maybe a, a pet or children came back home for you to take care of. In any case, for the past 14, 15 years, you have been dealing with these issues. But whatever happened between December and April, um, some kind of reshufflement happened where where you were able to get a hold of these um, misscheduling or routine. It made it easier for you, elevated your position so that you could do a workable routine. Even though your health still, because Pluto is back in Capricorn retrograding. He's doing that to tie up loose ends and for any unfinished business. So, and since your health is involved in the sixth house, do be careful with your health. Still, you're not out of the woods yet, and don't mess up your routine either. Going back to my notes, yeah, so this reshufflement, it was a surprising and or jarring event that led up to this. And even though you've had the last 14, 15 years of surprising power plays and shifts regarding um, your sixth house, this event was a different kind of unexpected, something that you were almost not ready for, but it came. In any case, this dynamic is reverberating again this month because the consequences from December to March, April are in play. And I'll explain a little more when I go through your September lineup again. Okay, so let us discuss the retrograde planets before getting into your September cosmological lineup. Just one note about retrograde planets. When planets station to turn retrograde or station to go direct, is the time to really take notice that day before, during, or after, because the conversation or action or information that happens then is the most powerful. Why? Because it reverberates through time. It's the day you remember. Um, like, oh, it was that day because of that piece of information, or um, because I made that decision, or because so and so did that. So just pay attention to when planets station direct or go retrograde, or station to go retrograde. All right, so we're going to get into your um sorry, I'm doing things behind the scenes where you can't see me. Okay, retrograde planets and your lineup. So September 2023. Okay, we have Saturn, the master teacher, the disciplinary in Pisces. Pisces, for you, Leo, is your eighth house of sex, death, and taxes. And that's just the title they give for this house, but it's regarding intimacy, true intimacy, death. But death, it can mean a literal death in the eighth house, but no astrologer can predict death. So here it's really allegorical to an ending and a beginning, a transformation, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, shedding its skin, a snake shedding its skin, and taxes. And it could be taxes, but as I mentioned in my monologue, the eighth house is really the house where you benefit from other people's money. So, wills, inheritance, um, your partner's income. Um, oh, I brain fart again. Gifts, lump sums of money, and uh, and so on. Uh, Neptune is in his home sign of Pisces. It's very powerful in his home sign. And Neptune is the master of illusions. Um, he's slippery. He rules fog, um, dreams, intuitions, opacity. Um, he rules the cosmetics, alcohol, um, perfumes, anything marine related, and so on and so forth. And Pisces are the two fishes that swim opposite of each other. One is going one way, the other is going the other way. So these two are a match made in heaven. And he has been in your eighth house of sex, death, and taxes back since Valentine's Day 2012. So you really you are used to this energy. Um, and it at times it could have been an escape for you. Any one of those things that I mentioned could have been like an escape for you. um, but Saturn in March came in and entered Pisces because this escape from reality sometimes is so strong. These illusions are almost vivid, where your escape from reality can take you so far out there that um, it's really hard to find your way back. So Saturn has come in into this house um, to pull you back into reality and put up boundaries and alarm clocks for you. So Saturn and Neptune will be working with each other to still have you have like a dreamy, idealistic um, way of thinking about the eighth house. But Saturn will put alarm clocks and rail guards so you don't go too far out there. Okay, so those two are in retrograde. Um, Pluto in Capricorn, I mentioned that in my monologue as well. It is retrograde, and it is your Capricorn is your sixth house of health, habits, routine, scheduling, service to others, and since it's a Virgo ruled house, Virgo rules small animals as well. So um, Pluto is back in March again, April. Pluto was finished with Capricorn, and Aquarius came in, but now it's gone back into Capricorn because there are some unfinished business in the house of Capricorn and some loose ends to tie up. So in the past 14, 15 years, you've really had um, maybe health issues, hopefully not too concerning, but you have had health issues. Your habits and routine kept changing or were throwing off your health and body. Scheduling. and organizing was foremost in your mind as well, and you may have had issues of that. The other thing is the service to others. Um, so you may have been taking care of someone. Maybe it was your aging partner. Maybe you worked in the field of taking care of elderly people. And during this transit, you may have had acquired small animals, and whether they're still with you or not. Pluto's in Capricorn retrograding because there is some loose ends to tie up. And you basically know what it's about. So that's Pluto in Capricorn. Uranus entered Taurus back in April. And Taurus is your 10th house of career, status, reputation, charitable work, and authority figures. And Uranus is the planet of shock, surprise, electricity, um, Uranian, quirky. So something about your 10th house of career, status, and reputation has had maybe a shock or two since April. Um, and it could have involved money, because Taurus natally does um, rule the second house of money and income. But now it has turned retrograde, and you will be reviewing the past, what is it, 4 or 5 months or so. The next one up, and our focus today when I go through the lineup, is Mercury in Virgo is retrograde. And Mercury controls all types of information and communication. Virgo for you is your second house of income and values, and I mentioned that in my monologue. The Chiron in Aries has gone retrograde. Chiron is, they call him the wounded healer, but he was also a master teacher, and he was something of a maverick. Um, yeah, he was a special kind of half man, half horse that the gods gave eternal life for. But that's another story. And Aries is your ninth house of travel, foreign people and places, people at a distance, academia, publishing, and the World Wide Web. So you're reviewing things. And when planets go retrograde, they are giving us a breather so that we can review the past few months of the dynamics that we've had to deal with, the information that we have had, and for us to review, and then when they go direct, to implement those changes that we want to make changes to eliminate the things we don't want, and then keep the things that we do want. So that's all. It's enough about retrograde planets. Let's go through your September lineup. So a few days ago on the 3rd, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, charm, and attraction, stationed direct in your own sign. So your first house of self, physical appearance, and personality. And anything that, and I mentioned it in my monologue, but anything that you were working on regarding yourself, how you appear to others, and what have you, and if that was not working out for you, now it'll start smoothing it out for you. Your CV, your appearance will change, but it'll change for the better, and you will start attracting money and goodwill people once again. However, Venus just turned direct, so it's still considered in shadow, and it's moving very, very slow. It'll clear its shadow by the end of the month. So, October, you're good to go. Okay. And then a day after that, on the 4th, Jupiter stationed retrograde in Taurus, your 10th house of career, status, reputation, charitable work, and authority figures. So, since April, your 10th house of career has expanded for some reason. Well, because of Jupiter entering Taurus, but it has expanded. Your career has been in focus, your reputation has been talked about, and authority figures have been taking notice. So, on the 4th, it's stationed retrograde, and you will be reviewing the past 4 months or so. And when it stations direct in January, then you'll be making the changes that you want to make. The same day, Mercury information in Virgo regarding your second house of job and income, um, trined Jupiter in Taurus, your 10th house of career. And this was the second time. The first time was on August 9th. Um, on the 4th was the second time, and it'll happen again at the end of the month, but I'll discuss that. But what it is information about your second house of job and value system gave a good aspect to your 10th house of career and status. And again, if you want to know specifically what it is, I always tell people to look up their texts or emails or phone calls um, on August 9th, and that should trigger um, you remembering what it was about. Okay, I wanted to say something else, but I can't remember, but I'll probably remember in the future, and I'll talk about it. Okay, uh, uh, coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow, the sun in Virgo will trine Jupiter in Taurus. So first there was information, and tomorrow the sun will shine a spotlight on on your second house, which will give good aspects to your 10th house. Um, Trines, I forgot to mention, trines are soft aspects, so some of you may not even feel it. Um, but they're good aspects, and for them to happen like this, like first Mercury and then Sun in the same house, trining the same house, I'm sure you'll feel it and you'll know what it's about. Okay, I usually don't mention small minor bodies, but when they're at zero, they're significant, so I like to mention them. So on the 13th, Pallas will enter Libra. Libra is your third house of communication and commuting, your neighbors, siblings, um, yeah, any communication devices or cars or what have you. And then the same day, Vesta enters nurturing and family oriented Cancer. And that is your 12th house of secrets, behind the scenes, confining institutions, hidden self, spirituality, your psyche, hidden enemies, and self undoing. So these 2 days, something happens in these two houses. Maybe you get information, maybe you don't, nothing happens because you don't have 0 degrees. I don't know. But I like to mention it in my lineup. Okay, on the 14th, and this is the Hollywood spotlight of the month, is the new moon in Virgo, and that is your second house of income and values. And I went into it in my monologue, but suffice to say that this is a very, very powerful new moon. And if you're old enough, every few years, um, this does happen to you. So, a new job, a new source of income, or something regarding your values is recognized. Um, if the opportunities present themselves, then grasp it, seize it, and otherwise set your intentions on what you would like to accomplish in this house. And Virgo is detail oriented. So if there is one specific thing that you really want to concentrate on, set your intention, plant that seed. Otherwise, whatever opportunity it is, scrutinize it to that one specific need that you have in your second house. But it's a beautiful new moon, and it's in Virgo, and it's giving a lot, so it's a good moon. The next day, the minor body of Ceres enters Scorpio. Scorpio is your fourth house of home, parents, parenting, family, and your tribe. Ceres is the master negotiator of compromises. She, after her daughter was abducted by Pluto and taken to the underworld, to be his queen, she did strike a compromise with Pluto to share her every 6 months. And Pluto is very powerful. So for Ceres to have achieved that, we call her the master negotiator. So something regarding your fourth house of home and family. It's at 00. That's why I'm mentioning it. So you might not feel anything regarding that on the 15th, but it will be there for about, I think, 6 months. So during that transit, you will have some kind of negotiation or compromise regarding your home, uh, fourth house of home and family, if there are any issues. So you'll have Ceres there to help you. And some of you are moving, um, and some of you may be moving in with your children, maybe, or your family members, or close to children or family members, um, or because of a partner. But I'll get into that in other videos. I'll explain that. But suffice to say that Ceres will be there to help you negotiate. The same day, on the 15th, Mercury in Virgo finally stations direct in your second house of income and values. So, like I said, when I explained the retrograde planets, please pay attention to this day, a day before, during, or a day after. When planets station, um, it is significant, and it does reverberate through time. So, on the 15th, some information about your second house. But it will still be in shadow, like I said. Even if you get um, information, it might be tweaked by the end of the month, because at the end of the month is when Mercury will clear its shadow. Okay, on the 17th, Venus in your sign um, will square, hard aspect, Jupiter in Taurus, your 10th house. So something about your appearance, yourself, your personality um, is tensing up to your house of career and status. Now, this is the third time and final time this will happen. And if you want to know specifically what it's about, go back to June 11th. That's the first time it happened. And the second time was a few weeks ago on August 22nd. And squares and oppositions, I like. People are afraid of tense aspects and shy away from them or are scared. I actually love squares and oppositions because they jumpstart something that has been um, stagnant or obstinate. Um, and and there's movement, either way. There's movement. So don't be scared of squares and oppositions. They're actually really good. And again, if you want to know what it's about, go back to these 2 dates. 2 days later, the sun in Virgo, your second house, will oppose Neptune in Pisces, your eighth house of sex, death, and taxes, inheritance, and the legacies you leave to others. So this is pretty simple and basic. Um, One scenario can be that because you haven't really gotten a handle on your second house of job, income, or whatever, you're hesitant to maybe give out an inheritance or trust intimacy. Remember, trust, um, to say what it is that you feel. That's one scenario, but the opposition will put it front and center so that you can deal with it, or there's either a yes or no, either or. So that happens on the 19th. And the sun is very powerful. Not that Neptune is not powerful, but yeah, look what happens to that. And maybe you guys can come back and comment and tell me what it is. Okay, on the 21st, the sun in Virgo will trine, soft aspect, good aspect, Pluto in Capricorn, your sixth house. So that's, health habits, routines, all that good stuff. So something about your value system or your job or your income is actually balancing your routine, your scheduling, your health, and service to others. This is a very good aspect. It is a soft aspect again, so all of you may not feel it, but it is a good aspect. Okay, on the 23rd, Sun enters Libra. Ta-da! Um, Libra is your third house of communications, any kind of communication. So communicate cells or devices, fax machines, whatever. Um, and commuting, cars, bicycles, um, any kind of commuting, buses, whatever. It also rules the house of siblings, neighbors, neighborhood, community, and what have you. So from the 23rd and on, uh, your focus will be on these things. Maybe your cell phone carrier. Maybe you're getting a new car. Maybe you're fixing your car. Or maybe you're adding a new stereo system. Maybe you talk with your neighbors more. Or maybe because you're moving, it's a new neighborhood. So look to that. It's at 00 as well. Okay, on the 25th, Mercury information in Virgo, your second house, the third time will trine your 10th house. So I mentioned it earlier. Some information about your income and your job is favoring your house of career and status. Again, it's a soft aspect. Um, and I'm not going to say you guys might not feel it because this is like the third time it's happening. There's a reason this is happening over and over. So again, and if you want to know specifically what it's about, look to August 9th. September 4th was the second time, and this is now the third time. Oh, when I went through the monologue, was I saying uh, fourth had passed and I didn't? Well, anyway, you guys can figure it out. I'm sorry. It's Mercury retrograde. I know I keep blaming it on that. I should take some responsibility, but all right, let's move on. The final um, Shazam in the September lineup ends with on the 29th with a full moon in Aries. Aries is your ninth house of travel, foreign people and places, people at a distance, academia, publishing, and the World Wide Web. And this full moon has some hard aspects, some juju, bad jujus. um, but full moons are endings, they are a culmination or fruition of your efforts. And like I said, it has some hard aspects. And if you do have 6 degrees in your natal chart of Aries, then you will be impacted definitely. But if not, maybe not so much. But yeah, there's an ending of some sort. Maybe you're not happy about this ending. Maybe because you're moving, like I mentioned, you will feel tense about an ending whatever you have going on and moving on to the new, or it can be other things. But yeah, um, chin up, you can handle it, you're the lion. So that covers all of that. Now let me go back to because I mentioned that we have two things to look forward to in the future. So, a quick look to a future transit is Jupiter turns direct in Taurus in January 2024, next year. Taurus is your 10th house, and as when it turns direct, it will trine Pluto, which will still be retrograde in Capricorn, your 6th house of health and habits. Um, it it it's a trine, so it's a soft aspect, but um, you will feel it because these are two powerhouse planets, and it's a very good and important aspect for you, Leo. Even though, like I said, it's a soft aspect, you will feel it. So your career, reputation, status, and your charitable work will start expanding once again. Yeah, after the sabbatical Jupiter in Taurus took this month through December. This trine from your 10th house is positively aspecting your health and habits and your routine. And I think this is also setting up the second thing that I wanted to tell you about, which is like a surprise in May. Jupiter in Taurus, again, your 10th house, will trine Uranus in Taurus. And that's your 10th house. So, um, two planets again, even though trine, but Jupiter is a powerhouse, and Uranus takes no prisoners. It's electrical, it's dynamic, um, it's out of the blue, it's shocking. So, yeah, surprising or electrical shock regarding your career, reputation, status, and charitable work, or your authority figures. They can be quite helpful for you because they'll Uranus is the genius of the zodiac. So some kind of shock, surprise, but it's a trine, it's a good thing, and it's expanding. Maybe you get a huge promotion. I don't know. Let me know. Oh, but that's in next year, and we'll talk about this more again. But all exciting, and you deserve exciting and fun and good stuff, Leo. Uh, if you did find this informative and entertaining, please do hit the like button. It really does help boost my channel. And consider subscribing. Doesn't cost anything. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and your patience. I really appreciate it. and I'll talk to you in the next set of videos. Thank you. Bye.